I mean, just after obviously looking at all this, as well as how everybody sort of answered it previously, it just goes to show how complex we are as people. It's not just, you know, we are so much more than our successes and what we've achieved, all the material things that we've acquired. And as Jack said, it's obviously all about, you know, looking at the journey to where you've come now. Yes, in some cases, some people have hardship and they think I've lost something. But actually, they might have lost something right now in their present now. But if they go back to everything they've experienced from birth to now and everything they're likely to experience, given the decisions they're going to make in their present moment, that's what it's about. It's all the experience and where all this obviously is triggered, you know, all the aspects of ourselves are triggered along the way. And it's how we've expanded and how we've grown in the process and how we've loved and I suppose accepted love, given love, and obviously embodied love in the process, obviously to use your point, Imogen. It's how we've communicated that. And have we been able to receive love? Have we been able to give it? And what has our experience has been as a result? And that's not just love to a person, but it could be love to a plant, could be love to a pet, to the planet, to the just sitting outside going, I really love my day, or I love this morning, or blue sky and so on.
So, and I mean, another example could be like we were talking about the outlaw, like Robin Hood, and why is he that? So because he cares, and he cares about the innocent, and he's the lover of all things. So if we have 4 cornerstones that we build a foundation on, we've got a strong foundation.
Oh, wow, sure.
So again, it's looking for, it's asking the right question. You can ask any question, but if you want the right answer, you've got to ask the right question. So instead of questioning self, you are going to find the question that opens you up.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I think we're all going to stare at this circle for the rest of the day. Jump around.
If you come to the live event, Jock, as well, there'll be loads more to stare. It'll have another year to stare. It just, and that's why we just love it so much, because it's so, it just really, you know, makes you look inside and look at yourself for a change and going, where am I in all this? And, you know, we have put down the questions about what do I want and when do I want it. It's also where we might be on one of those little wheels segments, but we might be somewhere, we might want to be somewhere else, and we don't know, you know, how to get there.
It's like Edel, you're saying, as a professional, you could be the caregiver.
Should be
but
yeah, no, absolutely, the caregiver. So I think for those of us, obviously therapists, healers, counselors, absolutely, I think that the caregiver, sometimes the magician, because
What?
create something out of nothing. So when you have a very small budget and you've suddenly got to see so many people with this tiny little budget, you have to start, you're not only the artist, but you're trying to create magic out of not very much. To some of the clients, you know, we may be heroes or heroines for them, but in the main is that we hope for them to find their own hero or heroine.
You know, you used a very interesting word. You said budget. If you look at the word budget, the bud actually knows how to unfold. It knows its trust. It has that faith in the higher power and the presence of that love that you are. You go back to the core inspiration of why you are who you are, why you're creating what you are. You get from the bud what is already innate. You know, so again, so it's we do have our answers, even in the words that you just spoke. So it's just an example.
When this morning I was saying to Jackie before we started, talking about the fact that we have everything we need, if I understood you correctly, Jax. We have everything we need within. We just don't spend an awful amount of time, acknowledging that we have it, because we always feel that we don't have enough. We always compare and despair. Other people have got more, they know more, their knowledge is better than mine. That's the human way. But in fact, where we do have everything we need, there's quite a remarkable affirmation, obviously, that I read this morning that I shared with Jax. And it's something that we'll share with guys later. Just around that concept of I have everything I need. And so when they come in with the expectation of, this is my problem, you fix me, you tell me what I need, and I'm just here to soak it all up. And then obviously in the first 5 minutes, Debbie and I will go, well, no, that's not the way it works, because you get to fix yourself. We're just here to facilitate that process. And that's where it's been so interesting just looking at this, Jax, as well, is how we haven't used this before, but how they have found their process, obviously in sort of finding their own magician or their own hero or their own caregiver artist. And some have even gone back to the innocent, haven't they, Debbie?
Yeah, I think, I think what I've learned from the group and from being, a counsellor, is that we've been in a sort of a rut where there's an expectation that people are going to fulfill our own needs and feed us what we're lacking. And I hope from COVID, people have hopefully now looking within and will learn that they've got their own ability to heal and help themselves. And I think this is a really good tool, Adel, going forward for our group.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I think I'm trying to get Jax into that group, but I don't know how to make her an employee of mine.
The other example here is the word ruler.
Yes.
What does a ruler do? It's not who am I, it's what do I do, right? So there's what you were saying about association of role. The ruler is the word measure. And the word measure comes back to me, assure. So do you live your life assuring me? What is your measure? How are you assuring who you are, why you are, what you are? And so these words in the roles that they play, they also have the roots. And we also spoke last time in, the deeper your roots, no matter the wind that blows, your branches will be fine.
Yes.
If you know who you are, those deep roots always give great support. You build your own ecology.
So I think that the very good question from that is, and something for all of us to reflect on, is how do we assure ourselves? Or do we even do that?
And so I think a lot of the skills in the sessions are going to be about that.
Yeah.
It's about the qualities of getting there are the qualities of being there.
Yeah. And obviously, just in terms of a fun affirmation, as I said earlier, something that really made me smile was the Galaga, I have everything I need and more. I just thought that was so much fun. And I thought, if you repeat it yourself more than once, you kind of clock the way you suddenly just feel differently.
Yeah.
So when we appreciate that we have all we need and more, that just keeps us away from going into that lack mentality. I haven't got that, this person has it, I haven't got it. And I thought, I've got a personal challenge to myself, as that's going to, obviously I've put it on a little reminder on my phone every morning. So it'll beep and tell me, Galaga Law, I've got everything I need and more. I made Mum walk up and down this morning in the corridor going, galore, galore. She's so good and patient. She's like, yeah, okay, I'll just go. And it's just, I noticed, because obviously, as I've said earlier, about just going through a bit of a crappy time, but I found it eventually there was a mood lift, which I kept saying, I can do this. I have got everything I need and more. It's just obviously reptilian self, critical brain that keeps going, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. You said you did. So I think it's, and it is just being sort of honest and sort of owning that, saying, okay, that's triggered something where probably I've questioned whether I have. And then I think, oh, okay, that's interesting, because what part of myself do I need to focus on, and what part of myself do I need to still sort of pay attention to and heal that has just triggered something that come up as a trigger point for me. So I need to pay attention. And where does that come from? Is that something in my childhood? Is that something from a previous experience or whatever? What is that about? And then obviously it could fit in very nicely into possibly, I think, an innocent part of self as well, where, you know, the innocent part, and I was talking to a friend last night who there was an innocent belief around something working out for her romantically, and it didn't. And of course, that was very upsetting for her, because the innocent self was saying, but I was so hopeful and I had it there and it was given to me, and why was that taken away from me? You know, and you can imagine that really hurts. You know, that really, really hurts, because we all have that Disney movie in ourselves, don't we? That everything's going to be happy ever after, and, you know, and life is just going to work out. And it should. Why shouldn't it? If we decide it will, and if we declare that it will, why shouldn't it? And it's only where we put those obstacles in our own way by thinking it won't or believing it won't, that we believe, you know, we've lost that innocent trust and faith that we had when we were little. Because when you watch little kids, it's so fascinating, because they have this, I remember with my son when he was little, he had the belief, because he was a wanderer and would literally just walk off and speak to everybody, he had this innate belief that everybody will talk to him and everybody will like him. Okay, fair enough, he was only 2.5, and why shouldn't he? At 2.5, everybody would love him and everybody would just talk to him. But he did. And I said, why did you go up and speak to that person? You don't know that person. Well, he seemed like an interesting person to talk to, he would say later. And I was continually apologizing to people. I'm so sorry that he's in your space. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry he's disturbing you. But he would go up to anybody and everybody. But he had the trust knowing that I was 2 or 3 steps behind him. He didn't even look. Oh God, where's Mum gone? Where's Mummy? You know, he didn't have to worry. He had this innate belief that I would be 2 to 3 steps behind him. And when he found that I wasn't, he had the belief that I would find him. I would just be there. So he just sat, and of course that was the kind of spirit that you kind of hoped and believed and sort of prayed that would never leave him. Because as he goes into sort of adolescence and so on, and society knocks him around a bit, and school knocks him around, and his friend knocks him around, and so on, that, you know, he would keep that innate sense. And, you know, thank God to this day, he's still got that innate sense of it will work out. It will. I know it will, and it just has to.
Power of positive thinking.
You know, and I look at that and I think, do you know, Sean, it's almost a degree deeper than positive thinking. As Jack said earlier, there's this innate trust. He seems to have this innate trust that it will. And I almost sit and I do study him sometimes, because I think this is so much more than just genetics. You know, I know he's sort of half, you know, from my genes and his father's genes and so on. But actually, and I can be an optimistic and positive person, the majority of the time. But this is so much deeper, though. You know, I often watch him thinking, where does, and I just believe he's born that way. I think that is just his soul, that is just his, that was what he's come in with,
his gift,
and what he can teach us. And certainly it's just so amazing to watch him. And he had that from birth. And funny, and where he was knocked around when he's born having whooping cough and nearly died, that he went through the most agonizing whooping cough with a smile on his face. And that's just, it's, you know, and I do sometimes, I think, gosh, you know, there's so much that I look forward to what he's going to contribute, obviously, in his life. And occasionally, I mean, I feel privileged with both my kids, and I feel so lucky to be their mother, because they both contribute, and they've come in with so much that I don't believe was taught by me, or certainly their father. This is something innate. And of course, where Amy's come in with a emotional wisdom that, you know, is just remarkable. And that is something that's not taught.
No.
I think this is where we have to acknowledge all those things in ourselves and in our children and in our loved ones, where we kind of just appreciate that, not only in ourselves. Like, let me look at those gifts that I have. Let me acknowledge those. And yes, they are enough. They are enough because I am me. And I'm here because, you know, whether, you know, we believe that obviously God obviously created us and he's put us here for a reason, or whether we believe that obviously we've had here to have some more, or whether whatever our belief is and whatever belief system, you know, we have special gifts.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
And we can build on those, can't we? Because we've decided to. You know, we can make a decision to build on those gifts. And
absolutely.
stop beating ourselves up. Saying that
exactly.
And we're not this enough, and we're not that enough, and we're not this enough. Boring.
But you know what, guys, we actually have to realize that we are enough. And if people can't accept us for who we are, then it's not our issue, it's their issue. They must deal with their issues.
Yes.
Yeah?
They can jog on.
As we say, Ada, we go next.
Exactly. Yes, swipe left. Right, Debbie, I don't know.
Are we tendering now too, guys?
Is it left or right? I don't know which one. But it's it is that, and I think it is being, you know, being sort of so accepting of the self. And yes, it's, others will say, but that makes me selfish. And then that doesn't mean, and does that mean, you know, all those things? But actually, yeah, the self is important. And if that is selfish in that true all-accepting word of being selfish, then yes, it is selfish. But society slapped a label onto selfish. Society selfish is bad.
But as long as you're not a narcissist, I mean, that's a totally different story altogether.
And that's where we come to, obviously, things like, because I think we passed the, you know, what do I stand for? And we're having the group exercise now. It's and exactly that, Sean. It's, if your value is not to be a narcissist, or you value around, I wonder who's ringing. Let me just see somebody. No?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, somebody's ring. It might be somebody's phone, obviously. We can decide what our values are. And we don't, if we think narcissism is not who we stand for, then, you know, perhaps we put that aside because it doesn't work for us.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So I think in that way, it's the part of knowing who we are is also our values. And again, that's something to reflect on, is what your top 3 values are. And I think when you know who you are, you understand who you are, and the role that you have decided to occupy in your reality, in your life, You kind of jot, you make notes going, okay, what is my role? Okay, so I'm a caregiver. Am I just a caregiver? Am I a healer? Am I a rescuer? What am I exactly? What do I believe my contribution to this world is going to be currently? And what would I like it to be if everything was possible? What would I like my contribution to be? And you use imagination, because again, as much as it's important to know who we are, and then kind of keep a check on those negative sort of thoughts, those negative emotions that bring us down, the third thing is obviously imagination. That's something that's a true gift that we have in our minds, and our mind's ability to imagine. And remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between, if it's issued a thought, it's going to assume fact and reality. It doesn't know the difference between whether that thought is real or imagined. And that is why when we imagine something and we imagine it long enough, if you think about sculptors and painters and people, what they've conjured up, okay, and they create that into their reality. But they've allowed that to happen. They've allowed that right brain and that creativity, going back to the wheel, they've allowed that aspect of themselves to be triggered. And they've imagined what they could have. And they've allowed that gap. So the more you imagine something, and then you can become visualization exercises and all the kind of those lovely posters, and you can write it down, you can paint it, you can create it, you can burn candles around it, and the more you look at something, the more real it becomes. And that's where sometimes in our creation we have created it twice. So not only have we thought it, we've imagined it, and then we've created it into reality. So often if you look at your current reality, the question is, what have I done to create this? Because if it's true that I have created my circumstance, okay, it's not to knock yourself down saying, oh, well, yeah, I should have thought better and I should have chosen something. That's not the point. The point is to kind of look at it from an observational stance, to say, let me stand back and look at what I've created. And why have I created this? Why have I pulled in this pain into my life? Why have I attracted this? Because I want to learn, I want to expand, I want to grow. Because I'm going to be something greater. I don't know what that is yet, but this experience is going to help me get there.
I like that.
So this is what it is in times of where we can embrace it and go, this is my entry level into something greater. So this is where, all that is horrible and it's nasty and it is very sad to go through all that. It is very difficult. But we try and turn it around somehow, going, well, let me just look at this bad experience and what can I get out of it. And then, of course, how can I turn it around?
Oh, mate, I'll pick the thing up on the...
No.
Oh.
Sorry? Was that you, Hansa? Oh, no, probably somebody talking. So again, it's taking us back to obviously what our purpose is and what we believe our purpose is, not what somebody else thinks our purpose is. So that's something to reflect on. What is my purpose according to me? Not what does my neighbor want, my partner want, my manager want, my this one. All the wants are heaped on us from other people, expectations, always. It's part of life. But, we can look at that and say, okay, does that fit my purpose? Does that truly fit my purpose? So in terms of employment, ambition, travel, so on, we can have a look at what our ideal future is, and we'll go into a lot more detail on that in the longer event and really strip and pull that apart. And then again, it's looking at the life plan, and you'll see more of that in the next sort of live event, where we go into obviously each area area. How happy am I with my physical? How happy am I with my psychological? You know, my emotional self, my spiritual self, my personal self, my professional self. You know, and we rate that, we give that a rating out of 10. And you say, actually, yeah, I'm quite fit at the moment. You know, I don't have weight to lose. You know, yes, I've got loads of me time. I've got loads of me time. No, I haven't. So I'd give that a poor rating. Then you look at the psychological. You know, am I really happy with that aspect of myself? Can I ask for help? Can I receive help? You know, what are my connections like? My relationships like? Am I really happy with all that? And then your emotional self. You know, am I happy with that aspect of myself? And then, of course, the spiritual and the personal and professional. And we'll obviously go into a lot of detail in the next event about what needs changing and looking at, obviously, the meaning that we've assigned to each of those. We take action and we try and obviously live a purposeful life, but a purposeful life linked to who we are and in direct contrast to who we are, not what others are expecting us to be. Right. And that often causes the struggle, it causes the distress. When we kind of live according to what others want us to be, then we kind of, you know, our own selves are kind of just separated. So, you know, as Jack said, you know, the future is created by actioning choices. And, you know, leaders that choose their lives being fearless and fulfilled. And again, it's whether we're a leader or whether we're a follower in our own lives. Sorry, Cheryl, you were saying?
You were talking about taking action. And for me, you know, when you sort of meet somebody and you introduce yourself, and within the first 5 minutes, you know, you say, hi, I'm Cheryl, and you get that person saying, within 5 minutes, they will lay out, I am pain, I have had a hard life. And within 5 minutes, they already describe themselves. And it's like being your own worst enemy for me. And I got tired of being own worst enemy and living in the drama. So, you know, I think we've all made the lists of what's been the pain and what, you know, what we had to acknowledge and work through. And then what do you want to be, or where do you want to take it, in the positive side of everything. But I got tired of being the Cheryl habit, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I wanted the miracle, and I wanted the technique, and I wanted to how to find the space, because it's like either you're living in reality, the drama, or you're living in that, what you were talking about, that la la land, that miracle land, that magic, and how to do that. And I developed for myself a Cheryl technique to get into that space, because for me it was having to be in the space where the frequency is raised, that you can live in that, be in that la la land and manage to manifest it. And you know, once so used to getting tripped up in the drama, kept being pulled back. And in that one moment, you can only live in what's my feeling for now. My feeling is either the drama or the la la land, and you can't have both. So it's first going through all the therapy work and understanding where in my body is the fear, where's the anger, where's all this, acknowledging it, working through it, but you can't stay stuck in that. So I wanted that miracle space. I discovered, for me, I did the Cheryl technique, which I call the rocket technique. Oh. So the rocket technique for me was like you in a spaceship. And it's like when you look at reality and you look at the TV and you look at all the drama and everything that's controlling us, around us. And I mean, we've been bombarded with this. And the rocket technique to me is when you're sitting in that rocket and they say take off, and you go off, and that rocket is shaking and it's going hysterical, and you've got to just hang on, and it's going through this gravity field, and it's all the drama around you, and it's all this anxiety and the fear, and will I be safe, and you know, will I get to the other end? And then you go and it's rocketing and rocketing and rocketing and rocketing, and suddenly you're shooting space, and it's quiet.
Wow.
And when I get myself into that space of just that nothingness, and then in that space, you've left behind what you've been labeled and who you are and what you're supposed to be. And you can just be in that space. And for me, in that space is like the split world. It's the one world of the reality and the harshness, and it's the other world, that's what I think and feel and know in the heart space, that marries the mind to become the union. And when I'm in that space, I can be anything. And when you hold that feeling of what you want, and then you raise that to the highest joy, and you just hold that will has to manifest the next thought, and has to be the ripple effect, and has to be the domino effect. So it's like every time you turn around and you see, oh, yes, reality again, COVID-19 on the news, you see it, recognize it, but you don't get hooked into it. You're looking at it from space. And then you realize it, and then go back to your dream and the manifest, and feel the feelings of miracles. So for me, that has helped.
So do you use that as a visualization technique, Cheryl? How do you?
Almost like, you know, I think when we grow up well, me growing up Methodist, you know, you pray and you pray and you pray, and it's like it's that feeling of you pray and nothing happens. But now it's like when you go into meditation and breath and breathe, it's like you got to feel it in the heart. It's not the mind, because many of us just run, please, 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 from the mind. But we're not feeling it from the heart. We're so locked off. We're so cut off completely. And I think it was Jesus that was said that when you marry, in the Gospel of Thomas, that was one of the Bibles, from what I understand, that was hidden. It says when you marry the mind, you find the union of the mind and the heart, and you feel the feeling, because the heart has the biggest frequency. It's a brain on its own, and you feel the feeling more, and you can just tie up the two, and you say, mountain move, mountain will move. So it's going basically into meditation, breath, feeling, and knowing. Like I know, like I know, like I know. I don't know how I know, but I know. And you go into that space.
That's so nice. That is so fantastic. And it's such a nice image as well, Cheryl. I love that rocket. And then, you know, because that's exactly often what it's like. You know, sometimes when we're going through hard times, it feels like you're in that rocket and it's shaking so badly and it's burning, and you've lost all sense of, almost in a state of overwhelm when you're in the rocket.
Yeah, it's like you go in the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
Like it's so quiet in the center, but the storm is horrible around you. But you can either go and be part of that storm, or just go within and just know that that la-la land there, of that feeling in that moment, is guaranteed your future.
Fantastic.
So everything you think and feel in that moment is guaranteed your future. So what do I choose? Do I choose the old habit of Cheryl, pain, anguish, fear, whatever? Or do I choose to manifest the joy? Because when I'm in joy and my heart is open, my heart's open for everybody.
Exactly.
Then I'm out of my way of the pot.
And it's also just detaching from, as you say, detaching from that drama, where you can step away from the drama and then be in that quiet sort of now space and just kind of look at that drama that's unfolding around you. But as you say, not engage in it and not get sucked into it.
It's not being in denial. I mean, you will feel when fear or anxiety rises. And then it's like, where my body is this, acknowledging it, realizing it. It's not that you're ignoring it. I say, well, thank you very much for showing it to me. I've had enough of it. I just try and move through. I've given you a day. So just move through and get it out of the body, because even our bodies are changing in frequency is my belief and understanding, just into a higher frequency. And it's like, okay, just move through. You know, I know it's all stuck in his memory cells or cellular memory. So thank you. But you know what? I'm just going to go back into my space and what would I like for myself? And not whole. I don't want to live the pain every minute, or the fear, or the rejection, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I don't want to live that every minute. If I have to live, I'm here to live this life. What would I like to live this life for myself in this moment?
Exactly. And what do I want to surround myself with? Who do I want to surround myself with? What are the emotions I'd like to feel? You know, it's all that as well, because we have that choice.
And the choice is, well, the more you hold that what you want to feel, just that feeling of wanting to feel loved, you will attract more love.
But I think, Cheryl, also, you know, that space that you've described is fearless and thus fulfilled.
Yes.
And I think that that was the choice that you were actioning, is you were choosing the essence of you, the soul you, the spirit you, which is actualized in a body too. And that's what you action.
Thank you, Jackie.
No, I think that's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
It really is, Cheryl. It's lovely. It just sounds, yeah, I've got that image of space in my mind now.
Yeah, so have I.
It's really lovely. Thank you for that, Cheryl.
Surprising how powerful it is. Pleasure. So surprising how powerful that feeling is. When you just, it's like when you just get up the morning and you just look around, it's like I've had it. I'm tired of everything around me. I can't take this anymore. Just get into the rocket. Move through that gravity. Just leave it behind. And just go through that gravity till you just hit that space. And it's
and that you've introduced the next slide so beautifully, Cheryl. So it is about confronting it, sort of get into the rocket. And that's when you can change it. And then obviously if you're in space and so on, you can create. And then again, it's all of that, sort of using your analogy of being in space is where you can unleash the creativity. You can feel the joy, and then, as you say, attract whatever it is that you are feeling and experience the shift in behavior.
And maybe even just in that space, when you get that feeling of just feeling nothingness.
Yes.
And I think when you just first feel the nothingness before anything else you want, just gives you a chance to rest. Just rest.
Well, that's what they say. It just gets the body back into what's it called, homeostasis. You know, where you're out of that fear, that sort of flight and fight response. You know, where all the hormones are going and all the stress hormones are being ignited and so on, and the adrenals are active. It just gives that back to that. You can breathe out, you can rest, and have the clarity of mind to then think about next steps.
And then maybe there, just sit.
Yeah.
And don't think on what do I want to manifest. Just sit and feel what will come to you that feels right, and you will know. I think that's where the knowingness might come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just the being, isn't it? It's the fact that we're human beings and not human doings.
And not control. Just don't control.
Yes.
Don't control.
Yeah, as you said earlier, get yourself out the way.
Yeah.
Because again, we do, as you've said, in terms of attracting stuff to us, Cheryl, we do block that, don't we? Because we either want it now, or we try and sort of dictate the speed at which things must happen. And we just need to get ourselves out the way and just to allow. And I think the allowance is obviously in that area of nothingness.
That's where my hurry up driver just kicks in, Adel, and I can't.
So you're going to come fetch me tomorrow in your rocket, sure?
Absolutely. I'm on my way.
Okay.
Buckle up. Just make sure the coffee.
I'm ready.
Just take the coffee with.
So again, there's our lovely space. Thank you, Cheryl.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, if not now, when is always the saying. So again, from everything we've discussed today, it just gives us that kind of reflection and the question about, and this is not about igniting the hurry up driver. It's just more about saying, okay, now in my current now, what can I shift? If it's not now, then maybe it's the next minute or the next minute or the next minute.
I also just, sorry, quickly want to say that I think in my thinking, I'm not saying I'm correct, but for the first time in evolution, we actually are in a time and space as the earth has shifted that we can manifest quicker now than we ever could.
Yeah.
So if we have our feelings in the right place, the manifestations should be much quicker than what it ever was. Am I right, Jack, or not? You must correct me here.
Of course you're right. You're right and left and right. you left the fear behind and you went into self-actualization, which is exactly what you're doing when you're breathing.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I'm sure, Cheryl, that, with the word breathe up on the screen, I'm sure that in meditation and to get to that point of stillness, I would imagine that you would have focused a lot on the breath.
You know what? I think for me, I found that when they say breathe in and hold and breathe out, to me sometimes was more stressful. Just thinking I could go and do the job of breathing.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's like it blocks me out almost more than anything else, because suddenly then I feel like coffee burst, and then I want to scratch my head, and then like I can't relax, and then I'm concentrating on breathing in and breathing out, and I'm not getting to where I want to be. And then the other day I just thought, you know what, I must just find my balance within me. I must just feel the balance in me and just breathe normally. And just when I try to find the balance in me, it's like I automatically just start breathing gently, and that calms me down.
Yes.
Instead of somebody saying breathe in, count till 10, breathe out, I'm concentrating more on the counting and trying to get myself there than actually being there.
It's so true. It's so true. And then you find you feel more stressed. I know, I just laugh because there's so many, and it's like hold it for 7 and out for 6, and was it hold for 6 and out for 6?
And you know what? For me, it was to go in, and then when I breathe in, I just in my mind see my whole body expand, and then when I breathe out, it contracts. And when I have that vision, it's like breathe in, expanding, breathe out, it contracts. I just see my body doing this. I'm not concentrating on the breathing, but then automatically the breath sort of follows. And then I just find myself in that space very quickly.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And again, it's, just tying in everything to what everyone's been saying. It's about making a decision in terms of what's right for you in that moment. So once you reach the stillness and you've got that kind of sense of, sometimes people find it in meditation, or maybe they're not quite meditating, but just softening their gaze, or however they are reaching that stillness, it's where often in long enough, instinctively a decision will come up where, the mind will produce an outcome to whatever the question has been that is asked. And what's always fascinating is, originally we would then question the decision because we've lost trust with our instincts. We don't trust it anymore in the way that maybe perhaps we did. And again, it's always useful when that comes up or anything comes up in the innate is obviously to write it down. Because obviously if we write it down, we can look at it and often manifest as well when we're writing it down. It's saying, right, so there it is. Is this what I want to create? Is this, obviously fulfilling my purpose? Is this in alignment with who I think I am? And obviously in terms of alignment with whatever my faith is or my connection is. And you can have a look at it and of course try the very best not to question, but just to allow, again, from what you've said, Cheryl, allow. Just let it be. And then sometimes when, as you've described, when we can see something, okay, when we can say something, as in the affirmation, you know, galore, galore, I have all I need and more, okay, then, you know, say that often enough, and so it is. Because if we put it out and we say it often enough, that will manifest. That will manifest.
But when
and of course,
when you're actually saying it, I notice you have a smile on your face, and it
yes,
absolutely brings joy to you in that moment. And I think
yes,
it's that feeling of that joy combined to the words that you're saying. Well, that's the way I think and feel, that if you don't have the feeling attached to what you're saying, and it just becomes a head mantra, I think we're just going to carry on the treadmill of head mantra
yeah,
instead of doing the magic of the feeling that brings that smile to the face.
absolutely,
Say it. I
Definitely.
can see it. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think certainly this morning was a turnaround for me, because I felt the smile. And as you were saying, Cheryl, you could feel that emotion, you know, in my chest, of just that you could just have that joy in that moment. And that is what it's about. And then, of course, if you do go into that more often, as you say, and you find the stillness and the peace, I think I normally sort of, for me, it's about the peace is the stillness. And it's just to be out of that struggle, you know. Or obviously, what for those of you, I know Debbie and I have listened to, obviously, Abraham Hicks, and obviously, is it Jerry and Esther Hicks?
Yeah, Jerry and Esther.
Yeah. And Enter the Vortex.
Yes.
I love to say.
When you,
That's what.
if I may, sorry for cutting off. I just had this thing.
Sure.
When you're in that space, in that moment, you've got nowhere to rush. You've got nowhere to go. You don't have things to do, and it's almost like I would think that's the collapsing of timelines. And Jackie, sorry to bring this up, but sitting here looking out the window, I remember about 8 years ago, you had us walking timelines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at this house. Do you remember? You
Yes.
made us walk the timelines.
Mm.
You set it out. And now for the first time, the other day I thought of this, and for the first time I have this feeling of when you're in that nothingness, that space. It's maybe when you're thinking all timelines, and it's like the timelines are like maybe collapsible, and you are in reach of any timeline where you need to be. I don't know.
Exactly. It's
I don't know what
exactly.
I don't know what I'm babbling now.
Your
I don't know
heart
what
is
I'm
beating
babbling.
in time with the alignment of the essence of who you are. So your essence becomes the present, and that's where you co-create. The time becomes the ally of the moments in which you are co-creating with the joy in the expression of yourself and that which you are co-creating with, whether it's a person, place, or thing. But you are the spark of that essence.
That's
And
beautiful.
that is time. Time is just the opportunity and gift that's given us, in which we can co-create and share the love that we are with the quality of being. So when we're in the knowing or in the timelessness, we're in the quality. We are the love. But when we're in the process of quantities, it's often a fear-based process. So it's about the quality of love. So that's timeless. Love is timeless. It exists always and ever. So how are you going to coexist in that? Time is such a gift.
It is. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was just a little bit of a taste, obviously, of what's to come and just the idea of, you know, sharing and sort of discussing and trying to get to the essence of. But there's so much more that obviously we'd love to share with everyone. And if everybody's happy, obviously we'll get the emails out to when the next event is going to be, and then obviously be prepared for, some more in-depth discussion and putting the world to rights, as we say. But also getting to the point where, you know, we'll go into it on a much, much deeper level. So I think, you know, certainly I'm looking forward to that, and it's going to be very exciting. So we probably would have to have a break halfway in between, because I think it'll be it'll be quite heavy, Jack's rated. So we'll probably have to have a little break where everyone can just have a loo and a drink break in between. So yeah, Jackson and I'll be working on that in the next couple of weeks. And then obviously as soon as that's ready, then we'll let you have all the detail and everything else around that. We're still conceptualizing and kind of working out exactly based on today, how that's going to look. So we'd really like your feedback after today, to find out, and just please be as brutally honest as you want to be, because we're learning and we want to develop the next one to be even better and more enjoyable for everyone. So loads of positive feedback. Please feel free to text me or WhatsApp me or email Jax. Let us know, and we'll look over that feedback and adjust with your suggestions. But I really want to thank everyone for participating today, because you've all just given such beautiful shared experiences and some great tips on obviously how to navigate this sort of world that we live in currently. And it's been such a joy to meet obviously some of you that I haven't met, and to those that I work with daily. It's just been so lovely to have you here in a different environment, where we can have a different shared experience other than the work that we do, and we have to be so structured in that, and meeting up with old friends as well. So thank you, Sean, for making the time today.
It was an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you.
So I know some of everyone had to leave because they've obviously got stuff to do. But thank you, Imogen. I hope to hear from you as well, and give me your feedback on what you've thought, and from all of you as well. So yeah, any final comments from anyone?
Yes, I do. In your next session, could I make a suggestion?
Of course.
It doesn't have to be done, but if we have a tea break, could we have a little bit of fun where each and every person says what they're going to make for themselves, coffee or tea, and what kind of tea, and if they're having it with milk or sugar.
Sure.
And the reason being, I'll never forget one workshop that Jackie held in Johannesburg. I was very new to Jackie still, and she said it'll be interesting to see what everybody's going to drink. If somebody has Earl Grey tea, there's a meaning to it. And if somebody's having tea with milk, there's a meaning to it. If somebody's having black coffee and no sugar, there's a meaning to it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can do anything with it. I was just thinking of a fun something.
I think
not
that's
just
fantastic. I love it. I love that idea.
And then we put Jackie on the spot. And then Jackie, if anybody wants to know their reason for what they're drinking, you can maybe give a bit of insight.
If you don't mind, Jax.
I love the joy. That's super. I'd love to share. And just also thank you for the opportunity to share, grow, and connect today. Each of you for your sharings, your presence, and your being at this time, this amazing time on the earth. And that my greatest wish for each one of you is love and all the gifts that come with that.
And to
Thank
you,
you. The same to you, Jax. Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to say, Eloise and Jackie, thank you very much for this gifting. The first today has done the world of good to me, and I can see all the other people smiling. I'm sure you have changed so many lives today, because what we're going to change, how we're going to change today, is going to ripple out to everyone. So thank you very much. This is a great honor to be a part of this.
I agree with you. Thank you, John.
It's equally an honour for you to be, because all of you in your own special way bring such a contribution to this day. And I'm sure, you know, obviously Jax would agree, but I've certainly got so many takeaways from today. So, you know, thank you to all of you as well, because, you know, for me, it's all about learning from each other and how we can help each other and connect. And, you know, yeah, even though all of us have got a wealth of knowledge in our own right, but, you know, the way we share it and the way we connect together is how we help each other on the path.
Yeah. I want to thank you all. I'm going to take away a sense of clarity, actually, of what I need to focus on a bit more. So thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely. I've really enjoyed it. I found my positive bone again.
Oh, fantastic. You know what we're going to be repeating on Monday, don't you? Hello.
Are you going to be dancing down the passage, though? That's the question.
Say that again.
Are we going to be dancing on the passage, did you say, Sean?
Absolutely, yes.
There you go.
And that gives me an idea for the staff wellbeing training, because we were going to do the dance with the breath, weren't we?
Oh, we're going to dance, Ada. We're going to dance our socks off.
I think Debbie should lead on that one.
Sorry? Say that again?
Debbie should lead us in that, in the staff wellbeing.
Yes, Debbie and I will kick off.
Because her heart's in it.
Thank you. Thank you, Imogen.
You do realise, guys, that if Jackie and Ada do it, you're going to be dancing continuously.
Yeah. Yeah, today was a bit sedentary, wasn't it, Jax? I think we need to get some movement going halfway through. Yeah, I think we'll get some really. I think the Happy Song by Pharrell Williams comes.
Yes.
Well, we could also ask Cheryl. Cheryl's a professional singer. She's a specialist in sound and music, so she's got a beautiful voice. So she can do a recording for us. That's my challenge to her. Good frequency.
That's a good idea.
No.
And then I've got a challenge for you, Imogen. There is a lovely, we'll need a lovely visualization or meditation around my perfect day. So Imogen loves to write meditation. She's very good at it, very good. And she does that for work as well. So there's my challenge to you, Imogen. My perfect day.
I accept.
I think it's just lovely because everybody's got so much, you know, to offer. So I'm already looking forward to the next one. But yeah, you've got Jax's email. Most of you would have mine, my contact. Let me know what you think, some ideas for future. And yeah, please join, because we'll try and do it on a couple of dates to give people the option, if they can't make one, that they can attend the other. There'll also be recordings and stuff that people can access. So if friends can't make it, they can sort of have the recording. So we'll let you know when that is.
Excellent,
so
thank you.
Is everyone happy to receive email communication?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, super. Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you, everyone.
Bye. Nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting you all. Bye.